Let's be real for a minute. It's late, the house is quiet, and you're alone with that familiar feeling in your gut. The one that kind of whispers, "Is this it?" You look in the mirror and you see the gap, the space between the person you swore you'd become and the person who's actually staring back at you. You've been told you have potential your whole life, and deep down, you know it's true. You can feel the ideas, the talent, just waiting. So what happened? Why does it feel like you're just stuck on a treadmill, running in place, while it seems like everyone else is sprinting towards some kind of finish line? You start with so much energy, right? The new workout plan, that business idea, the promise to yourself you're going to learn a new skill. You write it all down, you get all excited, and then, well, life happens. A week goes by, maybe two, and the plan just quietly fades away. Another good intention? Gone. Waking up at 5 a.m., meditating every day, reading a book a week. You make these promises. You feel that surge of motivation. But here's the thing about motivation. It's like a chemical high. It's a feeling, and feelings don't last. And when it inevitably crashes, your old self is just right there, waiting to take back the controls. And you're right back at square one. And so you end up living in this weird middle ground of stagnation. You're not exactly failing, but you're definitely not succeeding. You're just there, existing, almost like a spectator in your own life, watching the calendar pages turn, and each one feels like a quiet reminder of your own inaction. So let's just cut to the chase. The reason you feel like you're failing isn't because you're not smart enough or talented enough or lucky enough. It's because you have no foundation, no framework. You're missing the one single, non-negotiable ingredient for any kind of success: discipline. So let's break this down, because this isn't about beating yourself up or making yourself miserable. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's the architecture of a meaningful life. It is literally the blueprint for the person you say you want to become. Look at this. It's a simple, but it's an unbreakable chain. Discipline is what forges consistency. Consistency is what delivers results. And results? Well, results are what redefine your identity. You stop being the person who just dreams about things, and you become the person who actually does them. It really is that simple and that profound. And here's the ugly truth of what happens without it. Without discipline, you are unreliable. You become a liar to yourself. You break the most important promises you can make. And with every single broken promise, you chip away at the very foundation of your self-respect, until eventually there's nothing left to stand on. Here's the internal battle that every single one of us faces. Your brain, it's wired for survival. That means it craves comfort, it craves ease, it craves distraction. It wants to conserve energy. But a meaningful life, a life of achievement, it requires the absolute opposite: effort, focus, and a willingness to trade that short-term comfort for long-term growth. So let me be crystal clear. Motivation is a fair weather friend. It will ditch you at the first sign of a storm. And talent? Talent is a beautiful engine, but without the fuel of discipline, it's just a shiny monument to what you could have been. In the end, the only thing you can actually count on, the only bedrock you can build a life on, is discipline. Okay, let's make this real. Let's imagine two different lives, running on two different operating systems. One is programmed for discipline. The other, well, it's programmed for chaos. Let's see how this plays out. Over on the left, you've got the genius who waits for inspiration to strike. Their life is a graveyard of half-finished projects and brilliant ideas that never saw the light of day. And on the right, you have the craftsman. Maybe less natural talent, but they show up every single day, and they lay another brick. In a year, the craftsman has a wall. In a decade, they have a cathedral. And the genius? They're still waiting to feel inspired, surrounded by the ruins of their own potential. And this right here is maybe the most important thing to understand. You can set the biggest, most ambitious goals in the world, but it's your daily systems, your discipline, that will ultimately decide where you end up. Your life isn't a reflection of what you wish for. It's a direct reflection of your habits. All right, so enough with the theory. Let's get to the part that actually matters, the choice. Because there is no secret, there is no life hack. There is only the uncomfortable, daily decision to do the hard thing. Let's just get one thing straight. You're not a victim of your circumstances. You are not lacking in brilliant ideas. You're like a brilliant architect who just refuses to pick up a hammer. Your problem isn't a lack of vision, it's a profound, chronic failure of execution.
This quote from Mike Tyson, it just perfectly captures the whole mindset. It's not about waiting until you feel like doing the work. It's about bringing your best self to the work, especially when you don't feel like it. It's about mastering your actions instead of being a slave to your feelings.
So here's the system. Look, it's not sexy, but it works. 1. Pick one small, non-negotiable habit. Just one. 2. Create a fixed structure. Your feelings are no longer part of the decision-making process. 3. You have to divorce yourself from motivation. It's an unreliable partner. 4. Track what you do, not the results you get. Did you do the thing? Yes or no? That's it. And 5, remember that every action you take is a vote. Who are you voting to become today?
You know, at its core, this whole thing is about trust. Every time you hit the snooze button or skip a workout or break a promise you made to yourself, you are literally eroding the most important relationship in your life, the one you have with yourself. Discipline is the slow, sometimes painful process of rebuilding that trust, one kept promise at a time.
And this illustrates the final point perfectly. Think of your life as a building. Your goals, your relationships, your health, those are the walls, the windows, the roof. But discipline is the steel frame inside the walls. Without it, it doesn't matter how beautiful everything looks on the surface. It is all destined to collapse under the slightest bit of pressure.
So I'll leave you with this. Take a hard, unflinching look at your life, the career you say you want, the body you want, the relationships you want. Now, be brutally honest with yourself. What part of that vision just keeps crumbling to dust? What part keeps collapsing under its own weight? That's your starting point. That's where the real work begins.